This is the power steering reservoir for my truck. It's going to be something similar to that on any truck, but it could be mounted in different places. My power steering pump is over here in front of the motor, and these hoses go to the power steering pump and to the power steering gearbox. I've got 3 main lines on the power steering reservoir. I don't know which one is which, don't really care. I could trace them down and find out, but the reservoir is leaking and I'm due for inspection. We can see that seepage there. This has all been cleaned up really good recently. And if I move this oil pan, drain pan here, you'll see how much oil has been running out of that thing. Look at that leaf spring. It's bad. Now what's weird is I've never added oil to this. It's only showing about 1/4 of a quart, maybe half a quart low. And I've been driving this truck 16 years. It's 20 years old, 21 years old maybe. And never added any power steering, but it's been leaking for about a year, but it's just getting worse and leaking worse now. I don't know how much oil is going to come out of there. I don't know if this pan here is going to hold it all. But I already cracked the lines loose and forgot that I didn't have the cameras on. So get the cameras in a little bit better position here. I already cracked this line loose. This has a swivel on it. On this outside piece here has a swivel, and you have to crack this line, which is what seats it against the fitting on here. It's got a 90-degree fitting. And I've worked them back and forth till they loosened up. They haven't been touched in 20 years, so anyway, they're loose now. And I'm just kind of working since I'm not changing these lines, I'm just kind of working the gunk off of these fittings as I go around. We'll get that off of there. I'm just going to stand here and hold this for a while and let that drain. I don't have anything handy to plug that with. It was draining for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then I went on, and it stopped dripping. I went on and took the other line off over here. And it, quite a bit more oil came out of that. Maybe almost as much again. So make sure you've got plenty of oil pan space, or maybe it'd be good to have a second oil pan on the floor underneath. The new reservoir does come with mounting brackets, but the main bracket that's mounted on the frame, that's where those mounting brackets go, is on this, and it's got adjustments to tighten up these mounting brackets that come with the reservoir. Well, they got to be at the right height with each other, and you can plainly see it's going to be very difficult to tighten these up once the thing is mounted with these bolts going through here, top and bottom. It's going to be hard. So what I think I'm going to do is just mount it on one side only, and that'll leave me access to put a ratchet on the other side so I don't have to try to tighten this with two end wrenches, top and bottom, which is not going to be fun. In fact, I don't think there's room to do the bottom one that way. So yeah, we just won't put these bolts in on this side until after this is tightened up. This is a pretty big chunk of hose here. I got penetrating oil on these bolts to take the brackets off, and I'm just going to get this off for now. I left this clamp in a way where it could almost cut me like that. I tightened it back on here so it would be sliding around, but this came loose pretty good for being 20 years old. I'm surprised. I don't know what's going to come out of there. I already drained this oil pan. Hey, nothing came out. Great. So I'm going to use the stability of it being mounted to go ahead and change these fittings and put them on this one. I'm just going to memorize how they are. This one, of course, goes to that, and this one is facing almost, it's out sideways towards me, but towards the frame a little bit. It goes to here, and this one's just straight down. This one wasn't hard to crack loose, but the one in front of it up here was. And 1 1/4 is the closest I got, and it's a little loose, so it looks like it's going to be a 1 3/16. I could probably use the 1 1/4, but I think I can make a 1 3/16 with this. Let's see if it'll work. Works fine. That wasn't too awful tight. The 1 1/4 would have been okay too, would not have hurt it. These fittings are kind of grungy. It looks like they have the hardening thread compound on them, and I don't have any hardening thread compound. I got the non-hardening and I got Teflon tape. In any case, I'm going to clean these up on the brush wheel, and might use a combination of both tape and non-hardening compound. Like I said earlier, I don't think I'm going to be able to tighten these without a lot of trouble. So I'm just going to, I just got these screws in there just for positioning, and I'm going to tighten this side down only, and that way I can get on this with the air tool and tighten them down quick. I gotta take these bolts out, loosen it up, and turn this thing a little bit. I wasn't paying attention and got this pointed a few degrees over to my right instead of straight out here like it was. Now I'm going to look at these two pipe sealants that I got. This one, T+2, it's Teflon reinforced or Teflon enriched. It says right here PTFE enriched. And this one is white. I'm not a plumber. I don't know a whole lot about pipe sealants, but that's what this one is like. This is just in my plumbing supplies. This one, same company, and it says slow dry. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of faded. Soft set. And when I read the stuff on there, it says it does dry and set and this one doesn't. So I'm going to use this one. I opened it up a minute ago and it had a dark liquid floating on top of it because it had been sitting for, who knows, a couple, 3, 5 years, I don't know. But at least it's still workable. I mixed it up some and it's still workable. I'm going to use that instead of Teflon tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull those plugs off and then put some thread sealant on those threads and put them in there. I'm going to put the thread sealant on these threads, on these fittings that I cleaned up, not inside the holes. I'm not going to put thread sealant in there. I think I'll wipe a little bit just inside the beginning of these threads. I just don't want it getting into the hydraulic system here on the power steering. I don't know if I can get another turn on that or not. It pretty much seated right there. Yeah, it looks like we will. And I might want to note on these fittings here, this ball end goes on your hose. Do not try to thread this in to the thing there. Don't put your pipe sealant on that, because that ball end fits a flared fitting on the inside the hose. This is the end that screws in that gets the pipe thread sealant. I forgot to mention, if you clean up those fittings on a brush wheel like I did, do not touch that ball end that goes on this flared hose. Do not touch that ball end on the brush wheel. Only the threads on the other end, on the part that you're threading into the part here, because you'll damage those threads. I mean, you'll damage the mating surface of that ball end, and then you won't get a good seal, or you run a risk of not getting a good seal, and it's not worth it. Then you have to have a leak until you can get a new fitting to replace it with. I think we are back in business. I'll put this thing on and start putting oil in there. They only sold me 2 quarts transmission oils. They just kept, everywhere they looked, it kept turning up transmission fluid. Well, this had a kind of a yellowish clear colored oil in it. I didn't know what kind it was, and the dealer looked in several sources trying to find out for me what goes in there, and asked some guys in the shop, and they said just put ATF in it. So okay, it's got I'm going to be putting ATF in there to fill it up, and I hope that that is compatible with the rest of the system, because the rest of the system is that whole gearbox and the pump. Don't know how much oil is in all of it, but I took out maybe half a gallon or better. I probably took out more than half a gallon, maybe closer to a gallon, I don't know. Alright, that'll be the end of this video for the changing the the what do you call that thing? Power steering reservoir. Alright, thanks for watching.